He's kind of similar to Marvin Mims a bit with his explosiveness and his size, but I definitely could see him getting some reps on the offense as an undrafted free agent. So I think that's a very good pickup that we got there, and probably my favorite one out of this undrafted free agent segment. Welcome back to the Broncos Avenue podcast. I'm your host, Evan Petruk, filling in for Amir Farrell today. He had some other business to attend to, but we definitely wanted to get you guys educated on these undrafted free agents that we got coming up that the Broncos have signed recently. So let's go on right ahead and get into it. First off, we got Johnny Walker, edge out of Missouri. He is a designated pass rusher for Missouri, especially at the NFL level. He has below average size and NFL athleticism, but he did manage to score an 80.1 PFF grade as a designated pass rusher for Missouri. So that's pretty much all he would be at the next level as a Bronco. So whether he makes the team or not, I think he really has a potential upside being a designated pass rusher for sure. Next up, we got one of my favorite ones, center Clay Webb. He's 6'3", 312, former five-star recruit. Played at the University of Georgia, transferred to the University of Jacksonville State. He is second-ranked production of all centers in this draft class, which is a pretty good thing, pretty good intangible that he has coming into this undrafted free agent class. Definitely one of the highly sought-after undrafted free agents. He was second-team All-American 2 years ago, first-team All-Conference last year for the Conference USA. He's a very smart player with solid production. He's a former five-star recruit, like I said, so he does have that upside that a former five-star recruit would have as a prospect. So there was a couple of character concerns I was seeing doing some research on this particular player. Just I'm not sure how true it is, but if you really want to do some digging onto that, I'm not going to come on here and tarnish his name talking about some allegations that were made about him in college. But if they're not true, then I think we got a real gem here as an undrafted free agent. Next up, we got Kansas linebacker J.B. Brown. Now, this guy doesn't really have a lot of production at the collegiate level, but he's 6'2", 230. I've watched a couple interviews with him. He seemed like a great teammate, a guy that speaks highly of the people around him. He's a good blitzer and a solid run defender. That's pretty much all I could take out of his stats because he had very minimal production. But other than that, I think it could be a solid depth piece, good special teamer. Whether he makes the team or not, again, we'll have to see. But next up, we got defensive back Kendall Bohler from the University of Florida A&M. He is he's got great special team potential. He's doesn't have a lot of NFL production, but he's got a great work ethic and good leadership from what I understand. And he's kind of got like freaky traits a little bit. I think he's like 6'1" borderline, just under 200 pounds. So, taking undrafted free agents that have freaky athletic traits, you can never really go wrong with that, especially as undrafted free agents, and whether he makes the team or not, again. But I think it could potentially be a solid player. Do I see him as a starter? Not really, but I mean, hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot in my life. So next up, we got Arkansas State wide receiver Courtney Jackson. He is 5'10", 183, transfers from Syracuse. So transferred from a bigger program, not the biggest, but moves to Arkansas State. Runs a 4.35 at his pro day. He's got a potential impact on special teams, maybe as like a gunner or a returner. But there's a couple other receivers in this class or in this undrafted free agent cycle that we have that I like a little bit more. Next up, we got wide receiver from North Carolina Central, Joaquin Davis. He's kind of got freaky traits. He's got a little bit that A.T. Perry build, 6'4", 194, ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. 40-inch vertical, freaky athlete, very poor production. He's got questionable hands, but I mean, it's not something that Jugs machine, couldn't fix for him. But again, could be a potential impact player. Most likely practice squad, might make the roster. Not too sure about that. But this next player is my favorite out of this cycle. A wide receiver out of Toledo, Jerjuan Newton. He owns Toledo's all-time touchdown reception record, and he's 5th in receiving yards and receptions. He's good against zone coverage, especially in the middle of the field, from what I took out of watching him. Really good production at Toledo. Surprised this guy actually didn't get taken in the 7th round. I think he could be a kick returner for us alongside Marvin Mims. He's very, very elusive, good with the ball in his hands. He's got good hands. He's very explosive, good release. I could honestly see him as a starter or like a rotational piece as a receiver for sure. He's kind of similar to Marvin Mims a bit with his explosiveness and his size, but I definitely could see him getting some reps on the offense as an undrafted free agent. So I think that's a very good pickup that we got there, and probably my favorite one out of this undrafted free agent cycle. Next up, we got offensive tackle Xavier Truss. He played tackle and guard at Georgia. He started off as a tackle, then went back to guard, then went back to tackle, then I think went back to guard. Just filling in for injuries. I think he actually might have finished as a tackle, filling in for some injuries that Georgia had coming up to the playoff push. But he's likely a guard at next level. He is huge, 6'7", 320. So that's very big for a guard if you guys are unaware. Usually guards are a little bit shorter. Arm length doesn't really matter. But the reason why he played guard at the next level is just because he's got slow footwork. It's really hard to set an edge, go up against these elite pass rushers in the NFL like Denver's going to be facing with slow feet. I think he'll be a good rotational piece in the next level. He could hit the weight room a bit. A lot of his weight doesn't show on film as strength as much, but I mean, he played SEC football. He's a solid player, and I think he could turn into a solid rotational piece at the next level for sure. Next up, we got cornerback Jaden Robinson from Oregon State. He's 6 foot, 192, ran a 4.4. Most definitely a special teamer. Had damn near no production at Oregon State. More of a traits guy. They see him work hard. Clearly, the coaching staff and the management staff saw something in him to make him an offer. So I couldn't really find anything without watching the tape so far on this particular player. But I could definitely see him making the roster, being a good solid special teamer with those, tangibles. 6 foot, 192 is pretty prototypical build for an outside corner. Do I think he's going to start it as an outside corner? No, I don't. But that's a pretty good size for a good special teamer, good gunner. He's willing to play. So Kentucky offensive lineman Marques Cox, I think that's how you say his name. He's 6'5", 312, 7-year player out of Kentucky. He's a little bit of that in-betweener kind of build. He doesn't have the quickness to be a tackle, but he lacks the core strength to be a guard and, go up against those big 3 techniques and those big nose tackles on, switches and stuff like that on the bull rush. But he's a very experienced starter and he's got good length. So he's got potential, if he hits the weight room a little bit, he could be a solid guard, but I don't see him playing tackle at the next level. But other than that, that's pretty much what we got with him. Next up, we got Tennessee Martin nose tackle. That's the first time I heard of that college. I'm not big on college football, really. But Tennessee Martin nose tackle Christian Dowell, 6'2", 320. He's just a nose tackle. Good production as a run defender, as a rotational piece, really. Like, you're not going to see him playing 3 downs. It just kind of be like a relief for DJ Jones as a nose tackle. He doesn't really bring value on special teams. So whether he makes a roster or not, I guess we'll have to see how he performs. But just a solid nose tackle. You need depth at nose tackle. These guys are big boys, and it's really hard for them to play a full game, especially when you're playing against a team that runs the football, pounds the rock, playing from behind and stuff like that. So just good to have some nose tackle depth. Next up, we got center from Oklahoma State, Joe Michalski. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce his name. Couldn't figure out how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm reading it. He's athletic and lacks good measurables, but he's got very solid tape. I watched some clips of some of his blocks. He looks very good considering how undersized he is. He's good in pass and the run. I think he would be a really solid backup as a center. Especially if we don't re-sign Luke Wattenberg or Alex Forsythe, he could be that backup center that Amir and I were talking about when we were talking about guys like Jake Majors etc. And so I think that having solid center depth is a very good thing to have, especially, worrying about injuries and stuff. And even though this guy lacks that, prototypical size for an NFL offensive lineman, he makes up with it for his production on tape. He was really solid last year and really solid all his years playing college football. So I don't see why you'd be complaining about this pick up, excuse me. You can never have too much depth at the center position. Next up, we got Karene Reid, linebacker out of Utah. He's a little bit older. He's 25 years old, 6 foot, 231, kind of like almost a big safety, more than an NFL linebacker. He was a team captain, lineage player. His dad played 3 years in the NFL. His brother played college football. He played college football. So, that hard work runs in the family. Team captain shows a lot about his character. He lacks size and athleticism, but he's a very smart player, high motor. You see him finishing a lot of plays, good willing tackler. He provides definitely some upside on special teams. Any guy that's, going to work really hard on every play, treat every play like it's for their job. You can never really complain about getting a guy like that, especially on special teams, because people undervalue the impact these players that you don't see on offense and defense, the impact they have on special teams. Like, it really does make a difference. You got guys missing tackles, giving up big returns that really puts your defense in a bad spot. So having good, solid, reliable special teamers is a huge asset to have, especially with Darren Rizzi now. I'm assuming there's going to be a complete overhaul of special teamers, and I can definitely see this guy sticking on the roster and really making an impact on special teams for sure. This actually just was today. I did a lot of this research last night, so this was just before we started recording this pod. Duke cornerback Joshua Pickett. He's 6 foot, 180, ran a 4.45, so another one of those, prototypical size corners. It seems like there's a little bit of a trend going on with us picking these guys up, kind of getting a bunch of them and then weeding them out, seeing who's going to, make an impact on special teams, make or break the roster. He's a multiple-year starter, not a lot of production. I listened to a couple interviews from him. He's very well-spoken, very respected player. So, again, you're seeing a trend with Broncos players that are getting picked up and drafted. It says a lot about their character. Is a big, important piece to management that they have in their cycle of looking at players and which players they're going to, give roster designations to, et cetera, as well as contracts for these UDFAs, because these guys do get paid. They're claimed off of, it's basically like NFL free agency. Any team can go and get them. And so these guys are getting paid by the team, whether they get cut and make the roster or not. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that, again, just a special teams presence. I don't think this guy's ever going to start on our team, but you can have, like I said, you can never have too many special teamers. Last but not least, I got Missouri interior defensive lineman Kristian Williams. He's 6'2", 314. Played most of his snaps at the 3-tech, so that's that John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen role for you guys that don't know the defensive line gaps and schemes. He's a big-time run defender, posted a 74.9 run defense grade on PFF. Solid rotational piece. He was a team captain. Again, another very well-spoken guy. I listened to a couple interviews that he had post-games, and they would ask him about his individual success, and he would accredit it to the teammates around him. So, again, that trend with the Broncos drafting these guys with good character, solid individuals that are hardworking. You can never go wrong taking a guy like that, taking a chance, even if there's a guy with bad character that has, a lot more upside and a lot more potential to start on your roster. I don't think that it's a big – I personally would rather take the guy with the high character, who's going to put in that work day in and day out and just be a good teammate. The last thing you need is, a split locker room where guys are fighting each other all the time and just bad influences and bad for, PR and just, setting good examples. Like, look at how many kids are around the Broncos organization in these training camps and how these kids look up to these players. You could get no field action. You could be a bench warmer in the NFL. You're still in the NFL, and these kids still look up to you. And I think that having a full roster of people with good character is something that's not undervalued, but underappreciated in this league, because there's a lot of characters that I think are bad influences on these kids coming up, and And I think that having a roster like this, people that are going to do good in the community, etc. I think that you can't understate the value of that. But other than that, yeah, guys, I think that I would probably give this I'd say it probably a B. I think that we addressed a lot of positions that we didn't address in the draft: linebacker, interior offensive line. We got some defensive linemen and some edge rushers in the draft, but I think those are positions that you can never have too many guys. Look at the rotation we had last year with Dondre Tillman, Jonah Ellis, John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen, Malcolm Roach, DJ Jones. These guys are Nick Benito. These guys are getting cycled, right? Like you can't be always on the field. They need breaks, especially if the team's winning and it's constantly pass rush. Like it wears you out. So I think that having depth at the positions is very valuable, and I think that some of these players could turn into solid players. And we did get a couple of steals, like I said, Jerjuan Newton and Clay Webb. So I think that that's a very beneficial piece to this whole draft cycle, especially considering we traded certain picks, missed out on certain players. So I definitely think that I'd probably give this a B, probably right around where I have our actual draft being. I think that we had a very solid offseason if you include free agency, the draft, undrafted free agents. I'm very excited for this season that's coming up and the things that this defense can do and the step that Bo is going to take and all these receivers. And yeah, I can't really understate that enough. So make sure you like, subscribe, keep tuning in. We'll keep pumping out these videos for you guys, and catch you next time. See you guys.